Welcome to Fantasy Sports Daily, powered by FantasyGuru.com. Monday through Friday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 9 a.m. Pacific. Ray Flowers breaks it all down for you from a fantasy sports perspective. Morning, everyone. Ray Flowers of FantasyGuru.com. Hope that this show finds you well, finds you happy, finds you content, and finds you ready to have a great weekend coming up here as the calendar transitions from May to June. Remember, June 1st, the rankings get updated at FantasyGuru.com for baseball. All 650 players re-ranked over at FantasyGuru.com. I'm your host, Ray Flowers. Thanks for joining me today on the free show, Fantasy Sports Daily. As you're aware, or probably are aware, Monday through Friday, 12 o'clock Eastern Standard Time here on the show. We go about an hour. I host Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. Justin Fensterman hosts on Wednesdays. We have guests come on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday from FantasyGuru.com. They all come on about half an hour into the show. Today's Russell Clay's day. It's Friday, so we'll talk to him in a little bit. You can follow me, again, Ray Flowers, on Twitter X, Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky, all those places at the Ray Flowers. You can find me here those 4 days of the week. You can find me on that fifth day, Wednesday, with Jeff Mans on the Elite Sports Show, but this week is different. Jeff is on vacation. He'll be back on Monday. So Justin Fensterman and I have been kind of taking care of things here the last couple of days, or actually all week long for Jeff. So we're on at the 3 to 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we're no longer doing the show this week or tonight, later in the evening. So normally it's a show at 12 o'clock Eastern Time, 3 to 6 Eastern, Jeff Mans Elite Sports Show. And then Justin and I on 8 to 10 Eastern for Elite Sports Game Time Show. This week, Justin and I are in Jeff's time slot for one more day. Next Monday, Jeff will be back. He'll be on 3 to 6. Justin and I will go back to 8 to 10 Eastern. I've seen this mentioned multiple times in Discord and social media, so just so everyone knows, if you're searching this week's shows, it's not going to be coming up on Elite Sports. You got to do Elite Sports Game Time, because though we're in the Elite Sports time slot for Jeff, our show is still Game Time. So if you're doing a search on demand, you're trying to watch us or hear us, on SiriusXM, make sure you do Elite Sports Game Time. That'll get you the shows the last couple of days. What are we talking about here on the program? Here we go. Sean Murphy, Luis Garcia, Xavier Edwards, Jordan Lawlar, Evan Carter, Jack Caglianone, Dane Meyers, Mike Trout, Austin Hayes, AJ Smith, Xavier, Christopher Sanchez, Jose Berrios, Shane Baz, Logan Gilbert, and Alexis Diaz. In about 30 minutes, 25 minutes, we'll talk to Russell Clay. We'll talk a little bit about handcuffing with him. We'll talk about the rookie draft. How do you handle it? How do you set it up? It's a better way to put it. We'll talk about handcuff option Marshawn, Lloyd. I'm interested because I have Josh Jacobs. So we'll talk to him about him. A little bit of a personal question. Dak Prescott, Isiah, Pachecho, Rashee Rice, Josh Downs, Ricky Pearsall, and Jonnu Smith are some of the topics that we'll cover with our man Russell J. Clay here in a bit. If you want to get the football coverage, remember, it's available right now. Right now, it's available. It drops on Monday. You can get over to FantasyGuru.com, click the subscribe tab in the top right corner of the page. Get signed up for the football product. You can sign up for football. We have 5 different packages, starting out, as you see there on the screen, with the most basic, going all the way up to Elite Sports, going up all the way to MVP Platinum, which gets you every single thing we do football. Every bet, every DFS article and write-up, every seasonal write-up, all the rankings. That's the VIP Platinum plan if you want to go that way. Or you can just sign up for the basic package for the seasonal, as we're showing here on the screen. For those of you that are unaware, because you listen to the show by going to FantasyGuru.com and clicking the Elite Plus tab at the top of the page, or because you type in Fantasy Sports Daily to wherever you listen to podcasts, you can watch the show live or on demand, up to you. But if you're watching us live at any of the 3 spaces I'm about to mention, you can leave comments or questions, and we'll answer them or address them during the show. YouTube.com/@ElitePlusNetwork, Facebook.com/FantasyGuruHQ, and on Twitter X @FantasyGuruSite. All 3 of those places, leave comments, questions, concerns, and we will hit them up as we go through the show. There's some of the, remember, the seasonal package is available. The Elite seasonal package is available. That also gets you the seasonal baseball coverage too, if you sign up for that package. The daily football, the betting for football, and then the all-in NFL package, which gets you everything that we do for football. All of those packages are available right now. And since we're talking about deals, let's talk about baseball. I'll stop mentioning this probably next week. Maybe I'll keep mentioning it next week. $75 the rest of the way, everything we do with baseball. So that's June, July, August, September, October, all of it, all through the regular season, all the betting, every DFS article, every seasonal article, as I just mentioned, on June 1st. We're going to have a full rankings update. I do update the rankings the first of every month, so look forward to that. That's another huge bonus you get. You get access to all the Discord rooms, all of that, if you sign up right now at fantasyguru.com. So don't forget to avail yourself of the opportunity to do all that. I see a comment here from John G. Let's address it before we dive into the topics for today's show. John says, I went back and listened to what you said about James Wood. It's funny because I was going to ask for an appreciation moment for him. Have I been following you for so long that I now think like you? Possibly, John. I will say this. I always appreciate you on the show and the positivity and all that. I'll also say that, so I started full-time in fantasy in 2001. So I'm basically about 25 years into this. Can you believe that? Full-time. There are probably 100 people in the world that have done that full-time. Famous, super famous people haven't done it for 25 years full-time like me. Probably 100 of us, to be honest. And through that two decade and a half time span, I've gotten pretty good at taking the pulse of the community, right? I know who people want to hear about, who they want to talk about. Oftentimes I'll see notes in Discord. Hey, Ray, what do you think about this? And it's like, well, I just wrote an article this morning and talked about that guy. Or did you miss the show this morning? Because we talked about that guy. I'm pretty good at kind of hitting the topics as necessary at some place, whether it's on this show, whether it's on Sirius XM, whether it's in an article over at fantasyguru.com. Appreciate you, John. Yeah. And Wood had another big hit last night for the Nationals. Speaking of a big hit, Sean Murphy, homer, drove in a couple runs yesterday. And, it's really interesting. Justin Fensterman and I were talking about this, again, 3 to 6 Eastern today. We'll go back to 8 to 10 Eastern next week when Jeff returns for his show from vacation. Drake Baldwin is huge right now. He's killing it. The problem for Drake Baldwin is Sean Murphy is still there. And Sean Murphy is a very good defensive player. He's a better defensive player than Baldwin is. He's also a veteran. And though his bat is not fantastic, he does have an 833 OPS in 34 games, which is an all-star caliber number. So let's not get too over our skis with Drake Baldwin and the excitement and the love there, because remember, Marcell Ozuna is the DH for this Atlanta Braves team. So as great as Baldwin is, and as much as we want to get excited about what his outlook could be the rest of the way, he's not a catcher one. He's just not going to play enough, in my opinion. So, he's been great. But Murphy continued to remind folks that, yeah, he's still pretty good, and he's still going to get a lot of playing time with the Braves. What up, Eddie G? How's it going? Luis Garcia picked up 4 hits, drove in a couple of runs yesterday, and Garcia has been terrible based upon expectations. Overall, he's been fine. He's on pace in 150 games to hit 15 home runs and steal 20 bases. Last year, he went 18-22, so he's right on that pace. He's actually on pace to score more runs than he did last year. And though he hit 282 last year, he's batting 250. So the 4 hits yesterday, the last couple of weeks, he's 13 for his last 39 with 9 RBIs. All of a sudden, Luis Garcia, who has been bad, is on pace to basically replicate what he did last year. Is it wow production? No. But there have been a lot of people, and this is something that's come up very frequently. I know a lot of people bailed on Garcia 6 weeks ago. Wasn't playing every day, wasn't performing well. And I'm not saying that he's somebody that, let's get super excited about him. But again, you look at the power-speed combination and the fact he is playing most days, at this point at least, he's a guy that, he's probably better than you think. And he's in a nice groove right now. So if you're on the waiver wire and you're looking around, you're saying to yourself, Ray, I need a second baseman, Luis Garcia is not a bad option right now to make a move on. Xavier Edwards, another guy up the middle. He's starting a rehab. It started his rehab assignment yesterday. Obviously, Edwards has underperformed this season. He's got a back issue. Let's hope when he returns, he runs, because that is such a huge part of his game. He doesn't have the bat to overcome, the lack of stolen base. Like if he's hitting 290 with 50 steals, right? He's hitting 290 with 12 steals. I'm anticipating him running when he returns. And something of note, he's played shortstop all season long, but Otto Lopez has moved into shortstop since he's been out. And because of his struggles defensively, Edwards, it seems like the Marlins are going to leave Otto Lopez at shortstop. So when Edwards comes back, he plays second base. Why is that important? He's already played 40 games at shortstop. So he's going to pick up dual position eligibility in season here and obviously have it next season if the plan goes as expected with the Marlins. Nice little bonus for a guy up the middle in Xavier Edwards. Jordan Lawlar was demoted. sent back to AAA. We've talked about this a lot. It's why I made the face at the start of the show here. We've talked about this a lot. And I don't know. I'm not sure what happened with Diamondbacks. We've talked about this from before he was promoted to the day he was actually promoted. We've gone over this. This played out kind of as I thought it would play out. I think a lot of people thought it would play out. It played out differently than we were told. We were told that he was going to play 4 days a week. He wasn't. He was getting 4 bats a week. Like, he was not playing 4 days a week. I don't know. They called him up. They barely played him, and now he's probably in a funk. They took a guy that had 1,000 OPS and was hitting home runs and stealing bases at AAA, a top 10 prospect in all of baseball, and they brought him up, didn't play him, and again, he's probably in a funk now. So he's going to go down to the minor leagues, and how quick is he going to find his game? It's really bad managing. Not managing, because Lovolo is not the only guy involved. Bad front office work by the Diamondbacks. They bungled this, and I said that. I think I used that term yesterday in Discord. Bungled. They bungled this completely. If you have Jordan Lawlar on your team, it depends, as it has since he was promoted. Because remember, we talked about this. I wasn't like, everyone's got to get this guy with the expectation you're playing him. Everyone should get the guy. Doesn't mean everyone should be expecting to play him. If you have space, I don't mind stashing Jordan Lawlar, because again, we didn't see it because he didn't play, but he's a tremendous talent. Depends on your roster and your construction and how many guys are hurt and waiver wire and all that kind of stuff. I have Jordan Lawlar in 2 leagues. One of them's a keeper league, so I'm not moving on from him there. And the other one is a 15 team league. I think it's the FHA league. So I'm not dropping him there either. But again, those are different than the head-to-head leagues and the shallower leagues most people are in. Evan Carter has got a quad issue that he's been dealing with. His season's been a mess. His season last year was a mess physically. He's going to start a rehab assignment this weekend. Why is this important? Because there's a very real possibility that, next weekend, a week from now, 10 days from now, something like that Evan Carter's back in the big leagues for the Rangers and playing daily. Because don't forget, Jock Peterson's hurt, so he's no longer available. He's going to be out for a while now. So there is an opening in the daily lineup for the Rangers. Jake Berger has started to hit. Wyatt Langford, Adolis Garcia, Corey Seager's back now, so maybe that'll help spur this team on. As we've talked about all along, Marcus Semien hasn't hit. As we talked about all along, the Rangers have a really potentially potent lineup. They just haven't done it. Evan Carter, again, I have him on a couple of teams. He's sitting on my IL spots because I have IL spots in my league. I'm hopeful that when he comes back, he'll finally be healthy enough to play on a consistent basis and finally give us some production. Let's talk a little bit about Jack Caglianone, who I've got a lot of questions about, who I've seen. We talked about it on Monday when I do the Fab review on Mondays here on the show, the 1 day a week where I'm solo. We talk news notes from the weekend. We also go over the Fab pickups for the Tout Wars League, the FSGA League, and the Labor League, the 3 expert leagues I'm in. And Caglianone was added in a couple of leagues, and we talked about him earlier this week. Here's a little bit more detail on the Caglianone situation. He went 3 for 4 yesterday with the double. He's 12 for 35. That's a 340 batting average with 5 home runs in 8 games at AAA. So he's hitting 340 with 5 home runs in 8 games. And he continues to just mash the baseball. No one doubts that the bat is legit. Like, Caglianone is somebody that, could come up here and, he could do the Tyler Soderstrom. Right? He could have that kind of start. He could also have a Nick Kurtz start, but he could have a Tyler Soderstrom start. Now, the issue with Caglianone, when are we going to see him? Let's talk about that in a little bit of detail. In his 8 games, and it's 8 games at AAA, he's got 1 walk and 7 strikeouts. 7 strikeouts in 8 games, 1 walk in 8 games is not good. We talk about this all the time, right? So, there's swing and miss. There are questions, as there always are with every player, how they're going to perform once they get to the upper levels of the minor leagues and then, of course, the major league level. You don't want to have a guy come up and sit like they did with Lawlar in Arizona, or have a guy come up like Nick Kurtz and waste away for 3 weeks not really doing anything. Now, the A's had patience. Kurtz started to come around before he got hurt. Caglianone, when's he going to be up? Well, Jeff Passan reported that the Royals Omaha affiliate is beginning a homestand right now, and that homestand is ending on June 8th. So Passan theorized that when the homestand is over, June 8th, 9th, 10th, 2 weeks from now, a little less than that, Caglianone could be called up. That makes sense. The Royals, service time, Royals, they're cheap and all that. As as noted in the article I was reading, they called up Brady Singer, Chris Bubik, MJ Melendez, Daniel Lynch, Nicky Lopez. They called all these guys up without really worrying about service time. Now, not all those guys have hit, but at the same time, all those guys Super 2 players because they were called up a little bit earlier. So there's Miguel Garcia is going to be a Super 2 player. Super 2 basically means you qualify for arbitration a year early because of your playing time or your time on the roster. So the Royals don't have a history recently of avoiding calling up a big name prospect, worrying about a contract. So that shouldn't be an issue. So maybe 2 weeks. Now, what position is he going to play? Well, you've got Salvador Perez catching, but spending a lot of time at DH. You've obviously got Vinny Pasquantino playing first base. So where does Caglianone play? He's been working in the outfield. I don't know if, long-term, that's not an answer. Short-term, okay, he's trying to pick it up. And again, we talk about the adjustments that are necessary as you move up in levels and trying to get your swing locked in. Now you're trying to learn a new position. It's a lot for a young player. Some guys pick it up really quickly. Other guys don't. So we'll have to see how that goes with Caglianone. But he is going to have to play out of position unless there's an injury here. And then finally, though we like to see, because you see the home runs he's hitting, and I mentioned the 5 and the 8 games and all that, his 2-strike approach needs work. And in the minor leagues, when, that pitch that's supposed to be at 2 inches outside is over the plate, you're fine, right? In the minor leagues, when that guy's got a dynamic slider, but he can't throw that thing for a strike to save his life, as a batter, when he throws a slider, you spit on it. That's not the case at the big league level, right? There is a huge difference, and a lot of the pitching difference between the minor leagues and the big leagues is not stuff related. It's location, it's command and control related. So there are concerns about Caglianone and his 2-strike approach because there is a lot of swing and miss in his game and some strikeouts here. And he's swinging at, I'm looking at this, his chase rate, his O swing is like 49%, which is, like that is terrible with 2 strikes. Terrible. He basically swings at anything in the air. So how is he going to adjust when he gets to the big league level? So Caglianone is somebody that you can add now because there is a chance he's up again in 10 or so days. He might be up before then. He might not, if he gets cold in the next 10 days on this homestand, maybe they don't call him up. But he's got a very real possibility of being called up. He is one of the best players that we haven't seen. Roman Anthony's a more complete offensive player. We haven't seen him yet. But Caglianone is like right there from guys we haven't seen yet this year. So a lot of interest, a lot of excitement. I get it. But those are the reasons why you got to be a little bit cautious with Caglianone. Dane Meyers, who's been out since the 11th of May, a couple of weeks here with an oblique strain, is going to come off the aisle today, which is great news for the Marlins. Now, you might hear Dane Meyers and think, what the hell? Who cares? And he's platooned, right? And that's, that's part of the reason why he's been as successful he has. But he's got an 857 OPS, stolen 7 bases, and he's hitting 337. And he's done all that in 90 plate appearances? Like, he hasn't played. I don't know how much his playing time is going to increase or if they'll continue to basically platoon him. I kind of think they will. But for those of you in daily leagues, Dane Meyers was really effective before he was injured. Remember, 7 steals in 83 at bats. Obviously, if we give him 450 at bats, it's 35 steals. OPS, batting average are there. Just a little bump, again, if we got news that he was going to be playing on a daily basis, even though his ratios would fall, the overall production would increase, so that'd be something to think about. But for now, just putting it out there for those of you in leagues that are looking for a little bit of a boost in the outfield, at least he'll be an available option for you. Mike Trout has got a knee injury. Oh, wow. Really interesting note. Want to play with you sometimes. Interesting note. Isn't it interesting what people put and they think you're going to respond? we got a spammer here. Anyway, Mike Trout's got a knee issue. He's expected to return from the injured list today. That's where we're at right now. He's done well enough that they didn't send him out on a minor league rehab assignment. Just putting this out there so everyone knows. Just putting it out there so everyone knows with Mike Trout that this is what it is. He is who he is. He's going to give it a go, and he's going to hit home runs, and he's going to strike out. We talked earlier about the fact that he basically was, since the start of last season, Joey Gallo, kind of what we're dealing with here. So very interesting situation here. I see a note here. And EIEIO sent a note that Chandler Simpson was demoted, and I'm trying to verify that. I am seeing multiple reports from people saying, "What the hell is going on?" Wow. Chandler, oof. I'm not really sure what this is about. I just wrote, yeah, they did officially option him. Jake Mangrum is being, now look, I wrote yesterday that Chandler Simpson's not going to, I think it was yesterday, Chandler Simpson's not going to get sent down. I mean, this is frustrating. 285 batting average, 19 steals, and he steal 3 bases yesterday, 19 steals. 315 on base percentage, a little weak, but it's league average. Who cares? They're doing what they do, which is extremely frustrating, which is Jake Mangum is off the injured list. So they promoted him back to the big league level, and Simpson's been sent to AAA. I don't know. Again, this is just happening right now. I am shocked by this news. Simpson brings that speed component on the base paths that he's been doing very well with. He brings energy and passion. He's played some good defense. We've seen some big plays from him. Woof. I don't know. As pointed out by Jake here, Christopher Morel's done nothing this season, which is true. Curtis Meade doesn't even play, which is also true. Maybe they're trying to get away from all the lefties on the team. I mean, maybe they're looking at a team that's very left-handed, which is true. Mangum is a switch hitter. So, wow, that's really surprising. Didn't see that coming. I don't think anyone saw that coming. And that's very odd. Very, very strange. Don't really get that one at all. Yeah, Drug Monkey. I don't. Wow. Just crazy pants. And again, I'll say it this way, as we all sit here stunned with what's going on. This is the rookie game. And this is why I always say be very cautious with rookies. Now, was I the person that said spend 25% of your budget on Simpson? Yes. If you did do that, have you gotten your return? Absolutely. He's hitting 285 with 19 steals in 35 games. It's been exactly who we thought he'd be. Can't control what teams do with rosters. And it's why I'm just reluctant to ever go all in with rookies. It's just a prime example of it. That's just bizarre, though. Austin Hayes has been placed on the 10-day injured list with the left foot contusion. He's been fantastic this season. Can't stay healthy. I feel bad for the guy because it's just like he's having a great year. He's hitting 300. His OPS is 900 or whatever the hell it is. Can't stay on the field. This is the second time he's been hurt already this year. Jake Fraley's coming off the injured list, so he'll be back for the Reds, But Austin Hayes, woof. Talking about some pitching before we visit with Russell Clay here in a few minutes. The Braves placed AJ Smith-Shawver on the 15-day injured list with that elbow strain. They did it yesterday. They played a doubleheader yesterday, and though they obviously could have put him on the injured list just because they wanted to have another player available for game 2 of the doubleheader, they put him on the injured list between games. Like, they did it immediately. And initially there was the foot injury. He got hit with a ball, and then it was his elbow, and there was video of him saying he felt a pop. That pop has been relayed now. That is what happened. He's going for further testing. Obviously, the expectation with AJ Smith-Shawver is bad. The team's, I forget, was it the manager or someone with the team said it doesn't look good. The expectation at this point is that AJ Smith-Shawver will miss an extended period of time. And when you feel a pop in your elbow, obviously we're all worried about a ligament tear and surgery and all that. So his outlook is now completely in the toilet. Michael Peterson was called up yesterday. I think Bryce Elder's the guy in the rotation, but the Braves probably going to have to look to make a trade. Have to add someone to that pitching staff. Christopher Sanchez allowed 2 runs while striking out 6, 5 2/3 innings in that victory over Atlanta in that first game. And, here's a guy who had an elbow issue earlier for him. It was former elbow. Let's call it a forearm. I don't remember exactly. There was concerns. I had significant concerns. He was back pretty quickly, and he's been fine. And he's rocking and rolling right now. And the added velocity has helped him bump up the strikeout total. And it's gotten to the point where you just roll Christopher Sanchez out there. It's not even a question of do we play him in this matchup where he's just been fantastic. Jose Berrios had 9 strikeouts through 6 innings of shutout baseball against the Athletics. That was a surprising effort. And, in all of my leagues, Berrios is owned. Berrios, I like to my R's. He's owned. In some of your leagues, he may not be. He's a perfectly solid streaming option. Not sexy or exciting. About a strikeout an inning, a little bit below that. The whip is league average. The ERA is 3.9. It's fine. Faces the Phillies next, though, so be very cautious with picking up Berrios. You don't want to stream him against the Phillies. So if you add Berrios this weekend, if you're in a shallow league and he's available, it's a add and wait. It's not an add and pitch him next time out against the Phillies. That was, again, surprising. The A's are kind of all over the place. They're just trying to figure it out right now. They're in a little bit of a funk, especially on the offensive side of things. The guy who's been in a funk, and a guy that I was very pro early in the season, he was in the Breakout Pitcher of the Year article, with Shane Baz. He gave up 3 runs yesterday in 5 2/3 innings, struck out 3, didn't allow a walk. That's the most exciting part of the effort yesterday is he didn't allow a walk. His numbers are obviously worse than Berrios's, and they're disappointing. No way around that. He does face the Rangers next time out, which we just talked about. The Rangers, in theory, have a really good offense. In practical terms, they're not doing much. So next time out, if you're looking at streaming a guy, Baz is a better option as a streamer than Berrios next time out because Berrios gets the Phillies, Baz gets the Rangers. I'm still hopeful with Baz that this will come around, but what started out really well toileted very quickly with him. I think in total he's been a disappointment to everyone. He's been a huge disappointment to me. There's still time for him to right this ship and still time for him to be a usable piece in most mixed leagues. So let's hope that continues next time out against the Rangers or gets a little bit better next time out. But again, that lack of walks, that's an intriguing sign when we talk about Shane Baz. Logan Gilbert, coming back from his arm injury, is getting closer to a return to the Mariners. He threw an inning and 2/3 last night, threw 45 pitches. His velocity was about 95. He was fine. He's got that strained elbow that he's dealing with. He probably needs 2 more starts, maybe 3, depending on how aggressive they get. He only threw 45 pitches last night. So we'll see Gilbert back mid-June, something like that. It seems doable. We'll see if that's how the Mariners play it, but it seems to be doable. Alexis Diaz. Yes, that guy. The closer? The guy that I ended up with when I waited on closers? You too? Yeah. Got demoted, obviously, by the Reds. The Reds had no use for him. Traded to the Dodgers because the Dodgers, of course, had everyone. And again, they're not getting Alexis Diaz. They're getting the guy who named Alexis Diaz right now. His work down at AAA, not 1.9 ERA, 1.9 whip, excuse me. 1.9 whip. He's walked 12 guys in 13 innings. He has pitched like ass down at AAA. So he's just completely off. Not to say that the Dodgers couldn't get him and fix him. Obviously, he's been extremely successful at the big league level and many, many times in the past. But right now, he is not pitching well, and he's not. Even when he makes the Dodgers, he's obviously not taking over the 9th inning. I saw a lot of excitement yesterday on social media with Alexis Diaz, as if he's going to the Dodgers and he's closing or something. No, he's not even going to be on the roster right now. He's got to get his game fixed. The Dodgers obviously look to utilize him in a setup role, some capacity like that, in the second half if they can get him fixed. Okay, so that's our baseball talk, highlighted by the bizarre Chandler Simpson demotion. We'll continue to follow the storyline. It'll probably come up on the Elite Sports Game Time show, which again is 3 to 6 Eastern today on SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio. It'll probably come up. If it doesn't, maybe I'll try to just inject it. Say, hey, Justin, we got to talk about this for a second. But Jeff Mance should be back on Monday for his show, and then our show, Justin and mine, will go back to 8 to 10 Eastern starting Monday of next week. It's a Friday, and on Fridays, we always talk some football. Remember, go to fantasyguru.com, sign up for the football package. There it is on the screen. All in, get everything. Seasonal, DFS, wagering, all the chat rooms, all the articles, all the rankings, dynasty this, rookie that, best ball that. Get it all if you want. You can also go with the smaller packages if you like. But they're all available right now, and the draft guide drops Monday at fantasyguru.com. All right, one of the guys that we talked to, the guy we talk to every Friday, I should say, and the guy who's going to be heavily involved in that product, as you might expect, is Russell J. Clay of fantasyguru.com. So let's bring in Russ. How you doing, Russ?
What's going on, Ray? How you doing, man?
Doing okay. We're all as a group here trying to figure out what the Tampa Bay Rays are doing. They called up one of their prize prospects who performed very well. And then a month into this experiment, they had some guys getting healthy coming off the injury list, and they sent the guy back to the minor leagues. And it's very weird. And I said, this is one of the reasons why I said folks that build teams around rookies, it's like, whoa, I don't know if you want to do that because there's just so much uncertainty with roles are going to be. It's different in football to some respect, right? Because in football, oftentimes we see guys get drafted and they're immediately put into a role and they get an opportunity to run with it. But it's an interesting scenario. Do you have in redraft scenarios, do you tend to stay away from rookies in general in fantasy football, or in certain instances you got to go all in?
Quick sidebar. This reminds me of Nesson growing up in Massachusetts.
Right.
And the Rays would play. Well, they were the Devil Rays at this time.
Mm-hmm.
And they would play in that terrible ballpark.
Yep.
And I just remember the name Rocco Baldelli.
Yep.
And I thought I knew. I thought
he was the guy.
I thought one day listening to the Devil Rays Nesson highlights, I was gonna have the all knowing, and then he ended up being mediocre. But
he got hurt. Yeah, he's actually the manager of the Twins now.
Is he really?
Yeah. So he's still involved. But yeah, he had a couple of really good years, got hurt, and never kind of. But yeah, Rocco Baldelli, good name there, good call.
But yeah, in terms of baseball versus football, it feels very different to me. Like Jackson Holiday was the big guy last year, and he like struck out every at bat, right?
Yep,
so
pretty much.
Yeah, the baseball still probably the hardest sport, I'd be willing to bet. So it's not easy for a guy who's 21 to come in and do nothing unless you're Shohei or something.
Russell Clay at fantasyguru.com. Let's talk some football here, Russ. I've been asking, the guests this week. So I'll ask you, your general position on the running back position when it comes to handcuffing. If you're grabbing that number one running back, are you grabbing that number two guy? Because there are scenarios where, both running backs are in the top 100 or something like that, like the Chargers situation. It's like it's tough to handcuff Hampton and Harris because they're both costly. There are other scenarios where the second running back is, ADP is 160. Like no one's even drafting the guy. Are you a fan of handcuffing, or does it matter based upon the scenario?
It matters. The quality of the starter is most important. But I will say, as the rosters get deeper, the more fun it is to have second or even third running backs on a depth chart. We saw this with San Francisco last year, what a mess that was. But there were weeks where if you had Jordan Mason or Isaac Guerrero, you randomly landed a running back one for that week. The team I'm looking at this year, and it can go to wide receivers as well, but running back specifically, the Blake Corum, Kyron Williams, Jarquez Hunter trio in Los Angeles. I'm staring at that and saying whoever does win that job, and it's going to be Kyron, but if anything happens to Kyron, we got RB1 touches just sitting there. So when you look at handcuffing, and it makes it easier once you've done maybe a dynasty league or a super deep redraft league where the depth chart and all the players on the team. And it's less about handcuffing and more about hedging your bet. That's how I would more think about handcuffing than anything else. So I think it's a really fun part of the game. And I know some people aren't for the full handcuff, but even with wide receivers, when you look at Tampa Bay this year, you have Igbuka, you have Mike Evans, you have Chris Godwin, and then you have Jalen McMillan. They're all kind of hedges on each other. So it's handcuffing in a different way.
If you were in a dynasty league, I think the answer to this might be different if you're in a redraft league. You mentioned like the Rams scenario. Would you draft all three guys? Like in what scenario would you take all three? Because that comes up from time to time. And in a redraft league where you got like 5 or 6 bench spots, it's really tough, in my opinion, to take two. You got to kind of plant your flag with one. Do you agree with that?
Yeah. You can't really take 3 in a redraft. That's more of a dynasty thing. If you miss out on Corum and Kyron, though, you should be staring down Jarquez on the waiver wire, and any sign of Kyron getting dinged up or Blake Corum getting dinged up, you should be the first one to the waiver wire. for that one. The last thing I'll share. So Packers wide receivers are a nightmare. We have this Jaden Reed, Christian Watson, and then they drafted Matthew Golden and Savion Williams. Savion Williams is an interesting handcuff / hedge on the starters there. So just keep that in mind when we're talking about handcuffing. It's really just hedging your bet on a starter.
Well, help me out here, Russ. I'm in a dynasty league. We're doing our draft right now. The update on the dynasty draft is it's still taking forever. We did change our time clock. So the clock is now 5 hours. I got the commissioner to do that to speed things up here. We're in the 32nd round on a draft that started 33 days ago. So we're maybe it's going to be less than 50. Maybe we'll pull it off with our 45 round draft. But I want to ask you a question because I drafted Josh Jacobs. We're speaking about handcuffs. I drafted Josh Jacobs, and I thought to myself, well, I got to get his backup at some point, right? So I grabbed old what's his face, Marshawn Lloyd. Yeah, is Marshawn Lloyd the guy? And who is Marshawn Lloyd? Because then this is another one of the teams you just mentioned, their wide receiving core with the Packers. It's messy, but they have been all Jacobs in the backfield. And would that be a scenario that you think they'd go with one guy if Jacobs were to go down?
The Packers are a team I want as many pieces as I can, and for cheap. We've all moved on from Marshawn Lloyd, and we probably shouldn't have, because last year coming out of USC, highly athletic, third down upside, receiving profile, was a starter on two teams, South Carolina and USC. So really fun player, drafted by a good organization, and now on a team with an aging veteran running back who has a lot of touches. Seems like a really easy play to me that doesn't cost much. So I really like that play, and it costs you nothing now. Same like Kendre Miller is free. And if you ever liked Kendre Miller, you're buying into a market now where it's literally zero. Like you're picking him up off waivers. So with guys like Marshawn Lloyd and Kendre Miller, they were still top 3 round picks in the NFL draft, and they're still on rosters. So
I'm going to be selfish. One more question. Should I grab Emmanuel Wilson too in this dynasty draft?
I mean, you're playing in a 45 rounder, so you can do whatever you want. And that's a deep roster there.
Russell Clay of fantasyguru.com. Speaking of drafts, someone asked this question. They're starting up, or they're considering changing. It was in Discord the other day, changing how they do a rookie draft. And the question was being asked, how do you handle the order of draft picks in a rookie draft? Do you go, let's say it's a 12-team league, do you go picks 1 to 12, 1 to 12, 1 to 12, or do you do a snake draft, 1 to 12, 12 to 1, 1 to 12? What would be your preference there? Because it is a significant difference. My leagues have traditionally done 1 to 12, 1 to 12, 1 to 12. What do you think?
I would stick with the traditional setup there.
Okay.
I'm not sure what the angle is for trying to switch that to a different format, but the setup is to make the bad teams better. And if you shift the order, you're just giving another advantage to the already dominant, potentially juggernaut teams. So you want the bad teams to get better. Now, if the good teams are taking all the bad teams' draft picks, then that's a whole separate issue that you got to handle. But the basic concept of making the bad teams better is important there.
Russell Clay at fantasyguru.com. Russ, can you help Hal?
I can't, Hal. I can't help anybody with that. I try, and I have since given up as of a few years ago. I've realized if someone wants to trade their future picks, they're going to. And nothing I say is going to stop anybody. So, Hal, we appreciate you. Thanks for tuning in. We're rooting for you. I want you to hold on to your future picks. They are your insurance policy. They are your health insurance, which never is fun. but you don't. It's not only your health insurance, but you don't want to trade your health insurance to somebody else and then break a leg and then have someone collecting on your health insurance, Hal. Come on.
People love. I say this all the time. I'm just stunned by the trading of picks. It's just
multiple years
over.
We don't know what our teams are going to look like in 2 years.
I saw it the other day. I'm going to trade a 2027 pick. It'll probably be late first round. I'm like, how the hell do you know where your team's going to be in 2027? Like, come on, man. Like,
is the United States going to be around in 2027? I don't know. Russell
Clay, fantasyguru.com. Dak Prescott. Let's talk a little bit about him. Dak Prescott is paid as if he's a superstar. He had one great season, but then he's had some, he's dealt some injuries too. They obviously made the big addition at the wide receiver spot, bringing in Pickens. Everyone loves Lamb. Where is Prescott? Is he just a boring bottom QB1 who's overpaid? Is he a QB2 for you? Like, would you even look at Prescott and think he's got a chance to be top 10? How do you kind of look at him in 2025?
Love the passing volume, but as we've seen, since that major injury he suffered, they don't call running plays for him anymore, which is a much bigger factor in 2025 than it would have been 10, 15 years ago. So I like his upside. I think he could get 4,500 to 5,000 passing yards. We've already seen him hit that range of outcomes, especially with Lamb and Pickens and Jake Ferguson. But the rushing upside is almost zero now. So that's going to change things for us.
Russell Clay at fantasyguru.com. Isiah Pacheco. Let's talk the running backs. We were talking about my team. Let's broaden this out and talk a little bit about all teams as we get a messed up picture with my camera. Isiah Pacheco was the guy with the Chiefs. Then he got hurt. Then he came back and seemingly couldn't surpass an old Kareem Hunt. Andy Reid saying Pacheco looks great right now. We all love watching Pacheco run because he's a violent runner. At least I love watching him. He's a violent runner. Not a big guy, though. Injuries, all this kind of stuff. Who is Isiah Pacheco? Is he running back 3 for you this year? Is he somebody that you're interested in at cost? Is he someone you're avoiding at cost? What are your early thoughts on Isiah Pacheco?
He is taking the exact natural progression of a late round running back.
Okay.
Pacheco essentially hit the highest end outcome for a guy that is a 7th round pick in the NFL draft. So with that context, what happened last year, which is basically father time of the late round pick ran out. He's had an awesome career. Being able to scale a depth chart at all as a 7th round pick is an amazing accomplishment. So we're playing with house money completely at this point. I am worried about him. The good news is there's no real clear competition for him other than Brashard Smith. Running back prospect I really liked coming into the draft process. He fell really far in the draft, but he looks, if there is a Pacheco type guy this year, Pacheco may be replaced by this year's Pacheco. Is kind of the avenue I'm looking at, but he's had a good career. So we're playing with house money. I don't think they trust him anymore, at least based on last year, unless the injury was worse than what they were saying. So that's where we're at with Pacheco.
What about his teammate Rashee Rice, who's coming back from the knee injury? There's still the legal situation that's floating around over there. We haven't heard any resolution to that situation with this car and everything like that, but Patrick Mahomes was talking to the media the other day, say, hey, this guy looks good. And, I think that for those people with long memories, you remember that Rashee Rice was catching 5 or 6 passes every week as the lead guy with this offense. For those people with shorter memories, this is a guy that they haven't seen for a while. Still have that legal situation hanging over him. There still could be a suspension here. We don't know. But are you looking at Rashee Rice as a buy guy this year? Is it time to get in with Rice now before everyone starts realizing, oh, yeah, remember who this guy is?
Yes, but he's coming off a major injury. Yes, but I don't know what's going on with the legal stuff, Ray. That's the only thing. And what you mentioned is really important. He was a featured guy last year. They were ready to make him the new Kelsey in this offense. We saw it for about a month, and he got that major injury, and we saw it in spite of the off-field stuff. So I like Rice, but it's complicated, right? It's the Facebook. It's complicated right now. So they also have Xavier Worthy and Hollywood Brown. So their wide receivers are a little better than they've been the previous couple years. Lean excited about Rashee Rice, but there's always seemingly someone higher than him in my league right now.
Yeah, Worthy and Brown, totally different receivers too. So keep that in mind. Both those guys, little guys and all that. So
sure.
Russell Clay at fantasyguru.com. Another little guy, but one who's maybe the number one. I don't know. Is Josh Downs the number one receiver? Is it Pittman? Is it Downs? I don't know. I think the answer to that question might be dependent upon who's throwing passes, whether it's Richardson or Jones.
Yeah.
Downs is dealing with a soft tissue injury. It's probably no big deal, but he missed some games last year with some lower body injuries too. He isn't a big guy. Talk us through who Josh Downs is, what your expectations are. Give us the lay of the land with the wide receiver of the Colts.
Josh Downs, good wide receiver, has proven it at the NFL level. The problem is they keep drafting wide receivers, and now we have this weird Adonai Mitchell, Michael Pittman, Josh Downs thing, and there's not enough passing volume to go around unless it's Daniel Jones. Like you mentioned, we're all sweating this quarterback situation here with Anthony Richardson and Daniel Jones. If it is AR, we're in trouble. That's just the fact. AR could have a high-end fantasy result on a given week just because he's so athletic. But we really were suffering last year fantasy-wise with him as the starter. So I would like to see Daniel Jones start. I would assume he wins that job. But if he doesn't, my love for Josh Downs, my love for Michael Pittman as a slot, none of it will matter. So I like Josh Downs. I think he's a good player. He'll have sporadic big games if it's Anthony Richardson. But, yeah, we're sweating right now.
The Niners, they got to be sweating a little bit here, right? We're totally unclear with what's going on with Brandon Ayuk and his knee. There are reports suggesting he's going to be ready for week 1. I'm not expecting that. Deebo Samuel's obviously with the Commanders. There's Juwan Jennings, who's the old boring guy, but had like 5 games last year with double-digit targets working with Brock Purdy. There's Ricky Pearsall, who everyone seemingly loves, coming back from all the things he dealt with on and off the field last year. Well, Ricky Pearsall tweaked his hamstring. And again, this could be nothing, but he tweaked his hamstring the other day. Matt Berrios is reporting that he's not going to practice in full until July with the team in camp. So this sets him back a little bit. Where are you at with Ricky Pearsall? I think that everyone kind of says, well, yeah, does it just come down to the cost, the price point? What do you think?
Cost, price point, and this is one of those positions where you hedge. Ayuk got in that contract dispute, and we have seen this before, Ray, where things start tailing off. We got Deontay Johnson not showing up to voluntary training camp, and just a few years ago, he's been on 5 teams in the last 3 years, and he had 1,200 yards a few years ago.
Yep.
So this can really unravel quickly if these guys don't, take care of things. So really sucks for Ayuk. He was one of the best receivers in the league just 2 years ago. So I really hope he gets it back in line. But we can't ignore the fact that they basically drafted his replacement in Ricky Pearsall last year in the first round. So you mentioned all that. Juwan Jennings, the boring guy. I would say you summed it up pretty well there. We are watching that situation closely. Whoever does take the reins there is going to be fantasy relevant, but it seems like Kyle Shanahan, his running back infection has come over to the wide receivers now, and we're dealing with all this,
Could Juwan Jennings be the Niners' Jacoby Meyers? The guy
Totally.
that took a while to get there, but then you look up and it's like 75 catches every year. Could he end up filling that role for the Niners?
And anyone who's watched Jennings the last couple years, it's so much like Jacoby Meyers, because you go into the week, you say, Jacoby Meyers, and then you watch and you go, Jacoby Meyers is pretty good, I gotta say. And then you watched Juwan Jennings last year and you're like, it seems like every time they feature him, he's one of the better players on the field. So it's a great hedge. I like it for fantasy or like best ball. Worked out last year. I could see it working out again.
Obviously, in a dynasty league, you'd take Pearsall over Jennings.
Sure.
Redraft, is it Pearsall still for you? Where are you at on that? Close?
That is a high volatility play. I was not a Pearsall guy coming out of college, but the upside is with Pearsall.
I loved some of the reporting we saw yesterday. Steelers are looking to add players. Breaking news. Let me say something, and everyone cover your ears. No shit, Sherlock. You think they're looking to add talented skill players since they don't have any wide receivers? There's a report from Adam Schefter that the Dolphins not interested in sending a wide receiver to the Steelers, but Jonnu Smith came up. Jonnu Smith and Arthur Smith. Let's go. What do you make of this? They've got Pat Freiermuth, who obviously is a capable guy of catching passes, moving the chains. Jonnu Smith, completely different talent, field stretching. You can use him as an H-back, all these kind of things. The Steelers got to do something. Even if they get Aaron Rodgers, they got to do something, right? This receiving core needs a boost. What are you thinking with Jonnu Smith? And as a result, how are we looking now at Pat Freiermuth? Because this is depressing news if you're looking at Pat Freiermuth to be your guy this year.
This would be really depressing news if this trade goes through. I love Pat Freiermuth, but Arthur Smith is a Jonnu Smith fan. And I got to say, I think Arthur Smith was right. And I gave Arthur Smith a ton of flack in Atlanta, and I was wrong. So shout out to Arthur Smith. Dogs are called off on you, my friend, for at least a few years. This is one of those things where if the Steelers had a quarterback, we wouldn't be worrying about any of this. But since it's such a disaster, we're sweating all the small stuff because, they need a quarterback. And whether it's Aaron Rodgers or Mason Rudolph or any of the other ideas they've got going on, they just need to fix this. And it's going on. Big Ben's been gone for 5 years now? Drew Brees has been gone for 5 years now. These teams need to figure this out. Yep. And I think it's just proving it is really hard to find a quarterback, no matter who you are, whether you're the Steelers, the Saints, or some other amazing franchise. It is just not easy to find a quarterback. So the one thing I will say, Roman Wilson was a 3rd-round pick last year, and we look at the name Roman Wilson and say, yuck right now. But he was a high pick for them. And as much flack as we give the Steelers, organization right now, the one thing they've been amazing at is developing receivers. So especially in that round 2-3 range, they have historically been incredibly high hit rates there. So I would be buying Roman Wilson right now, like across the board.
He, by the way, in my 45 roster spot, was an IDP dynasty league. He went in the 31st round, to your point. So yeah, good addition at that level, of course. Hal has another follow-up question for you. Is there a reality where Kirk Cousins goes to Pittsburgh? I think the answer is yes. I don't think that's their number one play. To Russell's point, Cousins was not, his last 5 games last year were awful. He's still one of the best 30 quarterbacks in football. Like that's not a debate. He's better than Mason Rudolph. Is that possible? They still want / believe that it's going to be Aaron Rodgers. Could it end up being Kirk Cousins?
That would be a great solution at this point, right? We're not looking to get a top 10 quarterback. We just need someone who can distribute the ball. I do think Cousins' mobility is going to be better this year. Second year off the Achilles. He is what he is at this point, but if they can get 80% Kirk Cousins, that's going to be better than old Mason there.
By the way, speaking of Cousins and all that, do you believe in Michael Penix? I think that a lot of people seem to think, oh, he's going to step in there and go for 4,200 yards and 30 touchdowns. He's basically just going to replace Kirk Cousins. Do you see that?
Do I believe? I don't know. I hope for the sake of Drake London and Bijan, yes, but that's dicey. Yeah, and you want to talk about someone who has busted knees. It's Penix. He looks like he's 30 already and he's 24. So I'm hopeful. That's what I'll say. I'm hopeful. But yeah, not high conviction.
Russell Clay at fantasyguru.com. As we were talking about here when we brought Russell on at the start, don't forget to go to fantasyguru.com right now. Click that subscribe tab in the top right corner. Get signed up. The draft guide drops. And remember, the draft guide is what we call it, but it's a full season package over at fantasyguru.com. It drops on Monday. You can get the seasonal part of it. You can get the DFS package. You can get the wagering package. You can get all three of them. So get over to fantasyguru.com and get signed up right now. Russell's our dynasty guy over there, so he's obviously going to be doing a lot of that. What else? Do you have anything dropping here early on in the cycle, Russ? You got some articles that people are going to be able to see next week?
I've got a few articles on 2025 rookies that are going to be coming out, but we are in a mock draft currently. So I think always fun for the subs and, really myself as well, just to see where people are at with drafting. So we do have a mock draft coming out. Jeff Mans has his rankings, and we got a lot of stuff floating around. So just stay tuned. I know we got podcasts coming, and of course the dynasty rankings are my baby. So yeah,
I'm looking here at your team and it's terrible.
Honestly, Ray, I gotta be honest, it's pretty terrible, but we're riding with it.
And again, we're not gonna. It's for the subscribers over at fantasyguru.com. You can see on the screen there how to get access to that when it goes up. It's not your traditional build, is it?
Let's just say we're not happy with our running backs right now. So yeah, but stay tuned. You'll get to see, and you can laugh at me as well.
Well, you never know. I mean, looking at the board here, it's really interesting, because we have the traditional running back thing early. We've got the wide receiver thing early. We've got the quarterback thing early. We've got double tapping wide receivers. We've got double tapping running back. It's a nice actual mix for people to see how a team can turn out. So even though it may not be your traditional build, people will build their team the way you're doing it. So I think it's a nice, it'll be a nice thing for people to take a look at. Again, that'll be up. I think that's supposed to be done by the 6th. If we can get everyone, I think that's the date. So June 6th will be the day I think that's going to go if everyone makes their draft picks. You got anything exciting happening this weekend, Russ, or you just going to take it easy?
Russ might go on a date. We'll see.
Oh,
we'll see.
Okay.
Going to a pizza place. So nice. Hopefully she shows up, and and then we'll go from there, right?
Yeah. You deep dish or thin crust?
Oh, probably thinner.
Okay. Probably better on a first date. You don't want to have a bunch of stuff falling out of your mouth, right?
I have to excuse myself after a few minutes there with the deep dish,
Russell Clay of fantasyguru.com. You can follow him on Twitter X at Russell J. Clay. I think it's Russell J. Clay 17 in Discord. He's in there all the time answering questions if you got any of those. He hosts the live stream every Tuesday night at 7 o'clock Eastern on the website fantasyguru.com. So you can check that out. And as he noted, he and the crew got a bunch of articles ready to drop next week, so everyone get over there and get signed up. Good luck on your date this weekend, Russ, if it happens. We'll be rooting for you, and hopefully next week you'll show up on Friday at your 12:30 time for your visit with a huge smile on your face because you met the woman of your dreams.
There you go.
Thanks for your time today.
Thanks, Ray.
You got it. He's Russell Clay. I'm Ray Flowers. Remember, tune in 3 to 6 p.m. Eastern today on Fantasy Sports Radio on Sirius XM for Justin Fenchman and I. No show after that this evening because we're filling in for Jeff this week. Jeff will be back on Monday. So he'll be back next Monday, 3 to 6 Eastern, Monday through Friday. And Justin and I will go back to our 8 to 10 time slot on Sirius XM Fantasy Sports Radio. For Russell, I'm Ray. It's been Fantasy Sports Daily, powered by fantasyguru.com. Have a great weekend, everybody.